school we were going to when I had come up with the idea for Highscore. It basically came about when I had a dream about an arcade game at a middle school and a weird hallway toward the end of the game and a score that was following me throughout the whole thing. It was really obscure and weird, and I liked the idea a lot, so I decided to turn it into a game, and we got a lot out of it, I would say. Um,
Yeah, I'd say it was probably only a couple weeks after we had even met each other that he approached me, and I had been developing some little arcade games you may or may not be familiar with if you've played High Score.
Squares and even Squares 2, I think you were in development at that point, wasn't it?
No, I think that was started after High Score, but I had been bringing those into our programming class, showing people, and once he realized that I was able to make games, he was like, "Hey, I have an idea." So, and originally when we started this, he gave me a little bit of the art, and I actually just tacked it on to a free platforming engine I found on the internet.
Ooh, that I showed him, and it was made off Mario images.
It was not the highest. I mean, the platforming engine itself was really great, and if I still knew where to find it, I would actually recommend it to somebody who needed one. But
Yeah, I can't remember the link.
I have no idea where you found it. Nonetheless, after that, the we eventually gave up on that, and one day I was sitting at home, kind of bored, and I took the art and I came up with a whole new engine myself. It wasn't the best thing ever.
He was new at the time and tried to make his own path system for Psychopath's skill.
Yeah, it was.
We were up long nights with that one, just trying to get 4 lines to connect together. It was real fun times.
We actually spent about 4.5 days trying to get it to work, and it was still flawed in some serious ways.
The bullets would get stuck on the screen in random places and such. It was really funny.
Yeah, it was terrible, actually. But well, after we moved on from that one and got everything down pat, we moved on to the second version, which was originally going to be not made from any sort of tile sets or anything like that, and have each area be hand-drawn.
Ooh, yeah, and it was going to be able to rely on completely custom graphics, but unfortunately we realized really quickly that using all of the graphics like that just boosted the file size up too high and slowed the game down. And not only that, but I don't think I would have been able to handle doing it all, so I had all the graphics to do myself.
It was wildly impractical. But, after that, I came up with the engine that was on screen just a second ago, and
it started working out from there, and I realized that it took me a really long time to realize that tile sets were the way to go. I don't know why I was stubborn about it, but I think it was just because I wanted the games as stylized as it already looks, if not more. And then eventually I realized, after I got a little bit more confident in my skills with graphics, I was able to pull off still a little bit more of the customized graphics I wanted to use for Highscore, even though it was tile sets. I was really new at all of this at the time. I'd never really tried doing a big project like this, and I'm not really that comfortable as an artist, even though I like my own style. But yeah, and then, I mean, and as for the sound too, I did all the music myself, and it was actually the first time I'd ever handled composing for an entire project. So I can't say that all the pieces are the best, but I did try with what I had. And we went with MIDI because it was really small file sizes.
And I'm proud to say, actually, despite the fact that I have absolutely no musical inclination whatsoever, I did actually contribute to the soundtrack in a few places.
He wrote some catchy bass lines, one for the library water following you area and the
Colorless rooms.
Yeah, the section at the end of the game we're not talking about yet. What?
The one that's much too difficult.
All right, and oh man, and then so once we got the engine working, we actually just started the actual development. And I remember I did all of the graphics for the game. We had gone through like 3 different versions of Sam and like 2 or 3 versions of the enemies and whatnot, and
yeah, that's the second one right there.
Yeah, it is. And eventually, when I finally got around to doing the final versions of the graphics, I spent all of our Thanksgiving break from school, the whole week, just every day working on the graphics. And I think I got 1 world done each day, which, I mean, unfortunately, some of it I do wish I could have spent a little bit more time on, but I think for what this game is, it actually came out nice enough to where I'd say I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I like the graphics a lot. And I remember when we first started the animations for Sam, we were happy with them, and then after, we got the final version that you see now, we went back and looked at them and we were just like,
oh,
wow, these are embarrassing.
Yeah, I definitely improved a lot over the time I did this, and so did you. We got a lot of experience out of doing this game, which will definitely help us later.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing when I started, and
same here. And look at it now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to move on to actual programming languages and all sorts of stuff.
And we pulled a bunch of all-nighters doing this game. I'd say, well, okay, not a bunch, but about 4 maybe, and that was more than I was ever willing to do. And unfortunately, well, no, actually, very fortunately, I'd say, not unfortunately, we got some of our more interesting ideas out of us being really tired. I made sure that they connected with the game's plotline well enough to make them fit, and by this I'm talking about some of the more obscure backgrounds in the game and some of the humorous extra features and dialogue. Definitely was a result of us not, in the right mindset sometimes. But I think that helps this game a lot because this is all meant to feel like a very psychological experience. Any of the stuff I write always does, and so I think it worked out really well.
And speaking of the backgrounds, I'm very proud of. I was the background artist mainly for this game, and there are a couple backgrounds which I'm just extremely proud of, and I think if you've played all the way through the game, there's a few that you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because they add to the atmosphere so well.
Yeah.
It's such an addition.
Anyway, so we're in crunch time even as we're making this video. We've missed like 5 deadlines making this game.
All self-imposed.
Yeah, all self-imposed, and we didn't even need to really complete them, so we weren't on a schedule or anything. But anyway, so as for final thoughts on the game, I'd say that while we do recognize that this game is not perfect, it was more or less for the experience, and I'd say that because of it, we definitely know where the flaws are, and I think that next time we make a game, we'll definitely be able to perfect something.
Yeah, I mean, this game does have some flaws. But at
it's
the
a very
same
awesome
time,
experience.
At the same time, it is incredibly fun and very worth the time, I think.
There's old Sam.
In development and as playing it, and yeah, that's the older
platforming
animations,
engine, Sam.
And there's my lack of coding skills.
But anyway, yes, I am very proud of Highscore.
Yeah.
2 years worth of work.
And I think that's pretty much...
No ice skating.
I think that's pretty much all the time we have, so thank you very much.
Enjoy Highscore.